Hi, everyone. My name is Dr. Kristen Lindgren, and welcome back to the podcast. This week, we will be discussing post-vaccination syndrome and long-term immune system dysregulation, what we know and what we can expect. Introduction: the emerging concern of post-vaccination syndrome. Anyone else notice that everyone around you is sick? What's wrong with everyone? Worst cold ever in your whole life? For the second time this season? Weird freaking rash no one's ever seen before? Gut is trashed? Brain doesn't work? Can't sleep? Joints hurt? Autoimmune what? Pancreatitis? Is that a thing? Oh, and now you have cancer too? And so does your neighbor? And her neighbor? Well, that's just perfect. And then there are these terrifying graphs all over X. Cancer and overall death rates are at an all-time high. At the same time, insurance companies are not having a good fiscal year, let's just say that, or the past 5 years. Are all these things connected, or is Mercury just perpetually in retrograde this year? I think it is. Last week, I reviewed the post-vaccination syndrome data from the Yale LISTEN study. I ripped out at least half of what I had originally written, which may have inadvertently included information on the full extent of these findings, as well as what we can do from a positive standpoint moving forward. Whether you've had 1 shot, 7 shots, this shot, or other shots, we know that there is potential for immune system dysregulation. Plus, we live in a world full of other things that tax our immune systems. Crap in our water, crap in our food, crap in the air. All of these things are a real drain on our body's ability to do its most important jobs: prevent serious infections, autoimmune disease, and protect us against cancer. This week, I'd like to take another swing at this, dedicate time to, okay, so we're here now. What might we expect to see from a health standpoint, and what can we do about it? If learning about what immune system dysfunction might mean for you or your loved ones sounds interesting to you, then grab your headphones and let's go. The immune system, friend or frenemy? So we all have an immune system. Your immune system is supposed to be your friend, killing viruses and bacteria, taking down cancer cells, wiping out parasites and other bad guys. But like all friends, your immune system can get caught up with the wrong crowd. Have you seen Mean Girls? Or read anything on that whole Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni situation? Oh my gosh. Blake, do not come at me. This post-vaccination syndrome outlined in the Yale LISTEN study last month shed light on a potential new problem some people are experiencing after the jab, but the immune system failure they outlined isn't a new one. Autoimmune disease, cancer, chronic infections, and latent infection reactivation all demonstrate the same pattern of immune system problems. Immune System 101. So, being a member of an immune system is not unlike being a player on your local football team. There are offensive players, defensive guys, coaches, cheerleaders, commentators. Seriously, everyone's included. And if you're from Green Bay, Wisconsin, like me, you know football is a big deal here. So, let's break this down in terms that make sense to any diehard Packers fan. CD4 cells. These are the coaches and quarterbacks. They call the plays, they tell the offense where to go, and make sure the defense knows the enemy's next move. Without them, the team is lost. CD8 cells. This is your defensive line. These guys tackle invaders head on. They are the enforcers, stopping infections or opposing players before they make it to the end zone. B cells. These are your wide receivers. They catch the antigen, or the ball, memorize the play, that's like infection history, and generate antibodies, touchdowns, to ensure the immune system remembers what worked before. Macrophages. These are your offensive line. They clear out dead cells and debris so the team can keep playing without tripping over last week's wreckage. Cytokines. These are the commentators. They announce what's happening on the field, sending messages between players to make sure everyone is on the same page. But if there's too much noise, let's call that inflammation, the messages just get jumbled. But what happens when your quarterbacks, CD4 cells, are missing? Your defense, CD8 cells, are exhausted, and your coaches can't call effective plays. Well, that's what we're seeing in post-vaccination syndrome and other chronic immune dysfunctions. This is an expanded immune dysfunction comparison chart. I know you can't see any of this here, but I'll include it in the actual post. It's very helpful, but lots of noise here, I know. Key immune system changes observed in post-vaccination syndrome. 1. Low CD4 counts and immune suppression. Picture your CD4 cells like the team's coaching staff, calling the plays, reading the opposing team, and making sure everyone is where they need to be. But what happens if your coaches are benched? Suddenly, the defense is confused, the offense is scrambling, and nobody knows what the next play should be. That's exactly what happens when CD4 counts drop too low. Without enough of these immune system quarterbacks, your body can't coordinate a proper response to infections, tumors, or other threats. What that means for you: you're more prone to infections, bacteria, viruses, even fungal infections that your immune system used to handle with ease. Your body doesn't mount a strong response to new threats, so you take longer to recover when you get sick. Cancer risk increases because CD4 cells also help in spotting and destroying rogue cells before they turn into something worse. 2. Elevated CD8 counts and T cell exhaustion. So now you're down a coach, but let's say your defensive line, CD8 cells, decides to go full beast mode to compensate. Initially, that sounds great. More defense, more sacks. But here's the catch: they start getting exhausted. If they're constantly battling infection, inflammation, or rogue cells without proper coordination from CD4s, they eventually stop working properly. Instead of taking out the bad guys efficiently, they get sloppy, causing inflammation, mistargeting healthy cells, or just burning out completely. What that means for you: persistent low-grade inflammation. Your body is stuck in a fight even when it doesn't need to be. Inability to clear infections. Your immune system is overworked but ineffective, so things like chronic Lyme, Epstein-Barr virus, or other viral infections stick around. Autoimmunity risk goes up because exhausted CD8 cells can start attacking your own tissues instead of just pathogens. 3. Elevated TNF alpha and chronic inflammation. If CD4s are the coaches and CD8s are the defense, TNF alpha is like the overly enthusiastic sports commentator who never stops yelling. A little bit of TNF alpha is great. It helps rally the immune system, promotes healing, and drives out infections. But too much is like a stadium announcer who just won't shut up. This means everyone is in a constant state of stress and overreaction. When TNF alpha is on full blast, your immune system never gets to rest, repair, or reset. Instead, it's always in fight mode, leading to tissue damage, neurological inflammation, and higher disease risk. What that means for you: chronic tissue damage. Inflammation isn't just uncomfortable. Over time, it physically breaks down tissues and organs. Higher autoimmune disease risk. Your body starts seeing your own tissues as a problem and begins attacking them. Neurological symptoms. TNF alpha is linked to brain fog, sleep issues, and neuroinflammation. Think long COVID, post-vaccine neurological issues, or even neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's. How chronic infections keep coming back like a bad ex. You know that one ex who just won't go away? Maybe they're blocked on everything, but somehow, some way, they manage to pop back when you least expect it. That's basically what happens with chronic and reactivating infections. They lie low for a while, waiting for the perfect moment to make their unwelcome return. And in people dealing with post-vaccination syndrome, immune exhaustion, or long-term stress, it's like rolling out the red carpet for these infections to come back in full force. The usual suspects: tick-borne infections, like Lyme, Bartonella, and Babesia, reactivating viruses like Epstein-Barr virus, cytomegalovirus, and human herpes virus 6. And let's not forget COVID and persistent spike protein related dysfunction. At first, they might just be a minor annoyance, fatigue here, some swollen lymph nodes there, but then the symptoms drag on for months or years, cycling through periods of improvement and relapse. Joint pain, brain fog, crushing fatigue, inexplainable autoimmune symptoms, weird rashes, random fevers. Sound familiar? How to tell if a chronic infection is reactivating. If you feel like your body is in a constant state of battle, but no one can tell you quite why, here's what might be happening under the surface. Crushing fatigue that doesn't improve with rest, like fell asleep in my car in the driveway kind of tired. Brain fog so thick you forget why you walked into a room. Lingering sore throat, swollen lymph nodes, and flu-like symptoms that come and go. Unpredictable joint pain that makes you question if you secretly have arthritis at 35. Autoimmune disease flares, rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, MS, suddenly getting worse with no explanation. Long COVID-type symptoms, post-exertional crashes, POTS or dysautonomia, unrefreshing sleep, and random inflammation. Sound similar? That's because these infections aren't gone. They're just hiding out, waiting for an opportunity to come roaring back. The lab work that actually tells you what's going on. If you suspect an infection is playing puppet master with your health, here are the tests that can help confirm what's going on. Epstein-Barr virus early antigen tells us if EBV has reactivated. If it's positive, it's time to take action. EBV PCR, which is viral load, confirms if there's actual active EBV replication happening right now. CD8 T cells. Elevated CD8 means your immune system is in battle mode against viral invaders. Cytokine panel. Interleukin 6, TNF alpha, and INF gamma. Chronic infections trigger inflammation, and these markers show us just how bad it is. Tick-borne panels, IgM, IgG for Lyme, Bartonella, Babesia, because Lyme disease never really gets a permanent eviction notice, and its co-infections often go undiagnosed. COVID persistence testing, or spike protein antibody panels, and T-cell markers. Some people are still dealing with persistent spike protein issues affecting immune regulation. Last week, we talked all about the symptoms associated with that. How to take the pressure off the immune system and finally get ahead. So, what do you do when your immune system is stuck in a loop, constantly battling infections it just can't clear? You take the pressure off, support it with the right tools, and help it finally break the cycle. Therapeutic options that actually work. Supportive oligonucleotide therapy, or SOT. This is a game changer for chronic infections like Lyme, Epstein-Barr virus, CMV, and others. SOT disrupts viral replication and bacterial survival, helping the immune system clear the infection without the constant overactivation and inflammation. High-dose vitamin C, not just for colds. IV vitamin C acts as a pro-oxidant at high doses, directly damaging infected cells while also boosting immune function and reducing inflammation. Thymosin alpha-1. If your immune system were a boxer, thymosin alpha-1 is the coach whispering in its ear between rounds. It helps CD4 and CD8 cells function properly, improves antiviral defense, and helps regulate the immune system to prevent autoimmunity. The government doesn't necessarily like thymosin alpha-1, but I'm putting it here along with a whole bunch of studies. Just saying. Data's data. Low-dose naltrexone, or LDN. LDN modulates immune function and reduces inflammation, particularly in autoimmune conditions and chronic infections. Curcumin and anti-inflammatory support, because chronic infections drive inflammation, and inflammation feeds the infection cycle. Curcumin, resveratrol, and omega-3s help keep things in check. Mistletoe therapy. Used primarily in cancer, mistletoe also stimulates immune activity and enhances the body's ability to fight chronic infections. Detox pathway support. If the liver, lymphatic system, and gut aren't clearing out toxins from chronic infections, they're just getting recycled back into the bloodstream. Binders, infrared sauna, lymphatic movement, and gut support can help reduce the toxic burden. Why these strategies work? Instead of just suppressing symptoms, like using endless rounds of antibiotics and antivirals, steroids that get us nowhere, these strategies address the root cause of immune system dysfunction. They lower the infectious burden so the immune system isn't constantly in overdrive. They modulate inflammation so your body stops attacking itself in the process. They rebuild immune function so it can actually handle threats appropriately moving forward. If you're dealing with chronic infections that just won't go away, these are the tools that can help turn the tide in your favor. Final thoughts. We are seeing a pattern. Immune dysregulation leading to persistent infections, autoimmune disease, and increased cancer risk. But here's the good news. We're not powerless. The ability to test, understand, and intervene is here. Whether through targeted lab work, immune modulating therapies like SOT, LDN, thymic peptides, and mistletoe, anti-inflammatory support, detoxification, or optimizing mitochondrial function, we can help the immune system regain its balance and resilience. This isn't about waiting for things to get worse. It's about being proactive. If this is resonating with you, stick around because this conversation is just getting started. Stay tuned for more deep dives into functional medicine solutions. And in the meantime, protect your immune system like it's your best friend because, well, it is. Thanks for listening, everyone. If you found the video useful or entertaining, please like the channel, subscribe, and share with a friend. Those things really help the channel out. Until next time, keep reading, keep questioning, and know that you are in charge of your own healthcare. We'll see you for the next one. Bye for now.